All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good night to everyone listening from ISCT around the world. I have the pleasure of interviewing our featured member for November, Dr. Maria Fernandez Garcia from Kiji Therapeutics, joining us, ending her day with us in Madrid, Spain. How are you, Maria?
Oh, fine, Ashley, and thank you very much for the opportunity to have this conversation today and to present our Kiji's project that is very important for us to show our project and our objectives.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so excited to talk to you more about that for sure. So before we jump into that, like spoiler alert, everybody, we're going to talk about this exciting new venture that you are.
Sorry.
That's okay. I know. We're just,
I have done some spoiler.
We're so excited. I know, guys. We can't even stick to our script now. We're fine. I'm so excited to talk about it because yes, it is a new venture that you're starting along with ISCT President-elect Dr. Miguel Forte. And so I want to talk about that, but I want to start off with a little bit more about you, your background. So Dr. Fernandez Garcia, like I said, is joining us from Madrid, Spain. Could you share with us how you first became involved in cell and gene therapy? Like, were you always a CGT researcher, or did you kind of stumble into it like the rest of us, or so many of us?
Well, in fact, it was a bit of coincidence because I was doing my master degree here in Spain, and during some of the classes that we have there, I have the opportunity to learn about the advanced therapies. So in this class that the teacher was Dr. Agustin Zapata, that he knows a lot about all this world. He explained us the different stem cells and how the advanced therapies are advancing in the world, and that at the end, it is the future of the medicine. So I have the opportunity also to learn that there are different stem cells, like the mesenchymal stromal cells, hematopoietic stem cells. Well, and when we finish the master, I have to do the master thesis. So I went to the CIEMAT and I talked with Dr. Juan Bueren, that is a great expert, not only in cell therapy, but also in gene therapy. And I could enter in his lab. And I started working with the mesenchymal stromal cells. And from the very beginning, I thought these cells are fantastic. They have a lot of properties. They could be very useful for the treatment of different diseases. So this was my first contact with the cell and gene therapy, and I continue in this world from this moment. So
wow. Okay. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. I think a lot of people know that my intro to cell therapy was also through MSCs. And so yeah, I'm a believer. I'm fully on board with their potential, and just the potential of cell therapy in general as the future of medicine. I should get you to write a nice intro letter to my next grant. Tell the NIH that.
You understand me, so.
So that's so great. Okay, so then you were doing research. You did research for your master's thesis, and then was there like a career transition that you went into after that got you into industry, or did you continue in academia?
Well, I see now that I just started in the industry, so I don't know a lot about that, but now that I could see both worlds, the academia and the industry, I think that it's very important that, or the most important thing is that we combine both fields, because the academia could give a lot of information to the industry, but it's necessary the industry to arrive to the patients. That is, I think that the objective that all of us have in this world. So I think that is very important, the combination of both worlds, the academia and the industry, to advance faster and to achieve our objectives in this field.
Oh, absolutely. Do you see that a lot in Spain? Do you think that's being done well right now in Spain or not really? Like,
Well, in Spain, I think that there are a lot of academia research groups that are fantastic, that are great experts in the advanced therapies world. And in fact, the other day, I was in a conference in which we were discussing about the importance of the combination of both worlds, the academia and the industry. That is something that is not very well established in Spain, but that is something that is happening right now. So I think that some organizations like the Spanish Advanced Therapies Network, or some associations like the one that in which all the biotechnological companies in Spain are together. So
yeah.
sorry, I don't find the words to explain that. So this kind of associations could help a lot to the research in Spain, and I really think that is very important. And now that I'm completing my formation, because I started as I told you, in the academia, so after that I could move to the GMP world, and after that I jumped to the industry. So
Okay.
so now that I could see all the point of view, it's more clear for me that the combination of both worlds are very, very important.
That's great. I love that insight. Yeah, like seeing it now that you've kind of gotten a full breadth of experience in cell therapy, like life cycles, I guess. Yeah, that's such a great perspective to bring. I feel like that's kind of, as you said, like it's not historically been the case, but I think now more and more there is this, partnership between industry and academia, trying to bridge that gap between like novel therapies that are being developed all the time in academia, and then like really getting them into commercialization, right? So they can actually get the funding they need to help patients.
Yes, and I think that when the both worlds work together, we could advance faster to treat a lot of diseases that require our treatment. So I think that we are going ahead in the right way, because the combination of both worlds is happening right now.
Yeah, that's so great. I'm gonna keep that like back of mind for the like maybe for a session at the next ISCT meeting. I feel like this could be a really good like roundtable or some kind of discussion about how to better foster these collaborations between academia and industry. So I'll nominate you to chair that one in the next planning meeting.
Thank you, Ashley.
All right. Well, maybe that's a good segue then into now your latest venture in industry. So as I mentioned, Kiji Therapeutics, founded by Dr. Miguel Forte, who everyone in ISCT knows, is focused on developing engineered off-the-shelf allogeneic cell therapies for multiple indications, as I understand. So yeah, can you speak more on like the founding of this company and the company's overall mission?
Yes, well, in fact, everything started some time ago when I was part of the team that developed at the CMAT the first technology of Kiji Therapeutics, that are the genetically modified mesenchymal stromal cells overexpressing CXCR4 and interleukin-10. So when we finished all the studies in a mouse model of graft versus host disease, we present these all our results, and we thought in this moment that we are prepared to jump to the clinical trial. But at the same time that this was happening, at Bio, that is a venture capital that is also one of that is the investor of Kiji Therapeutics, hear about us, about our project, and they contact with Miguel Forte, and in this moment we start to talk all together about the possibility of creating a new company, a new biotech, like that at the end was Kiji Therapeutics. So Kiji have almost 1 year of life only, so it's
Wow.
very young. And our main objective is the development of engineered cell therapies for the treatment of autoimmune and inflammatory diseases. And from the very beginning, we think that the mesenchymal stromal cells could be a great option because we believe in these cells, and we think that these cells could be very useful for the treatment of this kind of diseases. But the problem is that they are not demonstrating the efficacy that we expected after observing the preclinical data. So we think that it's necessary to improve the efficacy of these cells. And if we could achieve this objective, we are sure that these cells could work very well in the treatment of autoimmune and inflammatory diseases. But well, this is in which we are focused, but we are sure that they could be useful also for other diseases. In fact, I did my thesis with mesenchymal stromal cells and trying to improve the bone marrow transplant. And this could be another field in which these cells could be really useful. So this is the main objective of Kiji Therapeutics. We have a first product that is based in genetically modified mesenchymal stromal cells overexpressing CXCR4 and interleukin-10, because with this technology, we think that we could increase the efficacy of these cells in two ways. The first one is improving their immunomodulatory capacities through the secretion of interleukin-10, but also increasing their migration capacity to the inflamed sites and to the tissue, to the target tissues, through this overexpression of CXCR4, that is a molecule that is involved in the migration of these cells to the inflamed tissues. So we think that is a good way to start, but we are developing also a platform to develop new technologies and new treatments for this kind of diseases. And we are working in two ways. One is the source of the MSCs, trying to avoid this heterogeneity that is associated to the different mesenchymal stromal cells donors, and also in another way, trying to increase the efficacy of these cells, not only with CXCR4 and interleukin-10. We are also working with other genes that could be also useful for to improve the efficacy of these cells, or increasing the tolerability of these cells, or at the end, we wanted to have the best product to treat the patients. So this is the objective of Kiji Therapeutics.
I love it. I love it. Okay, that is so exciting. I have so many follow-up questions. Okay, I'm going to start with, okay, so you were describing how wisely, you want to avoid all of the heterogeneity that you get when you do a lot of these donor-derived MSCs, either from bone marrow or from fat or from umbilical cord, right? Where are you sourcing the MSCs?
Well, this first product, the mesenchymal stromal cells overexpressing CXCR4 and interleukin-10, are adipose-derived mesenchymal stromal cells.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, but as I told you, we are also working at the level of the mesenchymal stromal cells source. So we think that the mesenchymal stromal cells derived from iPS cells could be a great option, because we could avoid not only this heterogeneity between the MSCs donor, but also we could achieve a manufacturing consistency in the industry is very important. So
right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's great. Okay, so then, but this first product is, you said, adipose derived. You're going to use the CXCR4 to sort of get the cells to where they need to go, the IL-10 to suppress all of the immune inflammatory, environment that's happening.
in this way, we could achieve two objectives: to have a bigger number of cells, or a high amount of cells in the target tissue, and also to increase their immunomodulatory capacity.
So that's an interesting thought too, is that are you administering these cells intravenously, or are you injecting them at the site?
Well, we will infuse the cells intravenously. In fact, in our preclinical mouse model was also infused intravenously. And in fact, the systemic way I think that is the one that is using with the patient. So we have to think also in the moment of the clinical trial, and if everything goes well, and we cross our fingers because we trust a lot in ourselves, in the future, when we treat the patients, the intravenous way is the one that is used. So we need to increase the migration of these cells to our target tissue.
Yeah, no, I think that's very smart to hopefully try to overcome some of these, I know, historic barriers around, when you give MSCs intravenously, they often end up in the lung or the liver and get trapped, may not actually get to the target tissue that you're hoping to have them home to, right? But that's great. So, I mean, it's very exciting that you guys have found a potential way around that. And hopefully, yeah, like you said, increase the amount of cells that are actually getting to your tissue.
Yes, and
be efficacious.
And in fact, I could tell you that if everything goes well, by the end of next year, we expect to start with the clinical trial in patients. In fact, we are right now working with a clinical expert in the design of this clinical trial to obtain the best option for the patients.
Okay. Are they going to be, this is a big ISCT question, are your MSCs going to be fresh or frozen?
Are going to be frozen.
Okay.
Yes,
so
because we have to think in the best way. We have to think in the future, and in the future, when we are going to treat a lot of patients, the best way for the shipment, for the consistency of our product is going to be to have the cells cryopreserved. So we decided to start working in the same way that we will use in the future.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, that'll help your clinical pathway too, or your regulatory pathway if you're not jumping between different modes of manufacturing, that's for sure. Everyone should go check out the latest guidance that was released by the FDA. Actually, they just submitted a guidance on if you change your manufacturing protocol at all, the things that you will have to show for comparability. Yeah. So
yes,
you can avoid that, that's smart.
Yes, I could learn everything, all these things, because I was involved in the GMP facility that they have at the CEMAT as part of the production team. And you have to define everything. So you can move anything. So it's very, very important to obtain the best manufacturing protocol with the best conditions and the best quality controls to obtain the best product that you could have with this, in our case, with the genetically modification of CXCR4 and interleukin-10.
Yeah, speaking my language. Isn't it though? It's a totally new language that you have to learn coming from basic science, right? Research, or even translational research. I feel like in my postdoc, I did cell therapy work that was very close to the clinic, but until I got into my fellowship, that was when I really understood just the full regulatory scope of the critical quality attributes you have to look at, the manufacturing, the documentation, all of it. Yeah, that's so
all
great.
the GMP standards that are absolutely necessary to ensure the safety of your treatment, but you have to learn a lot of things when you are in a GMP facility. And I think that this is an additional point that I could include in my career that I could complete now with the industry world. That is fantastic also.
Well, I think that's so smart that you have that knowledge of GMP manufacturing, so that I'm guessing, do you have your own, is Kiji Therapeutics manufacturing in their own site, or are you using a CDMO to manufacture?
Well, at this moment, as I told you, in parallel in which we, in the past, we thought that we were in the moment of starting a clinical trial as part of the research group, Kiji Therapeutics appears in our life. So in this moment, the research group have a grant to go ahead with this clinical trial with great clinical experts. So the Juan Bueren's group, together with Dr. Rosa Yañez, that was involved in the research part, but is also the technical manager of the GMP facility at the CIEMAT, started work very hard with these clinical experts. Now we are giving them support for that clinical trial, but for the at this moment, these cells are going to be produced in the CIEMAT's GMP facility, and also in another academic GMP facility that is located in Navarra. So they are going to be the two facilities that are going to manufacture, to do all the manufacturing of these cells, and that both facilities are great experts in the manufacturing of mesenchymal stromal cells. So we trust 100% in them, and we are also involved in the design of the manufacturing protocol for this clinical trial. So we are giving all the support that we can to, as I told you, to obtain the best product that we could have.
That is so exciting. I'm so I don't know, I'm gonna be so antsy to see your results coming out over the next year. But how nice that you have that right experience and you can communicate effectively with your manufacturing teams, right? Because I think that can be a big hang up sometimes too. And in the pharma to academia sort of crosstalk, you get a lot of you just don't speak the same language all the time around GMP standards, and but you're trying to hit certain business marks and all this stuff. And so I'm glad you can kind of be that bridge between Kiji and your manufacturing partners in academia. And then I lost my train of thought. But then that will enable you to have a more successful trial, right? And then scale up from there. So that's absolutely amazing. I'm so excited. So actually that brings me to is Kiji Therapeutics planning to showcase any of this work at ISCT in Vancouver in May?
Yes, in fact, we are now working in the abstract to.
Oh, nice.
Yes, we want to show the last results that we have with all our preclinical data for the first product of Kiji Therapeutics, the ones based on mesenchymal stromal cells overexpressing CXCR4 and interleukin-10. And I plan to go to Vancouver to present this work. So I think that is the ISCT is a great opportunity in which you could do a lot of networking, in which you could learn a lot, not only from the academia, but also from the regulators and the industries. For me, it's the perfect mix of the three important worlds in advanced therapies. So it's a great opportunity to be there. I learned a lot when I stayed in Paris last year. Yes, in which we saw the results that we have in our preclinical mouse model, but we have some additional data that we could show for the next ISCT. So yes, we will stay there.
We're going to get some coffee in Vancouver and we're going to chat more. I'm so excited. Okay, that's awesome. Well, like you said, everybody start working on your abstracts. I think the submission deadline is January. So I think we're all going to get, pretty soon, we're going to get over a grant hump here, and then we're going into full abstract mode for January. Would love to see so many people there. Cannot wait to hear more about the work that you're doing with Kiji and chat with you some more and your whole team. It sounds like you guys are going to have such a great presence there. So everyone look out for that. I think we have to land this plane now. So can you let people know how they could connect with you? Are you on LinkedIn or Twitter?
Well, they connect. Well, in fact, I think that next week we will have our web page
Oh,
ready
exciting.
to, so you could know more about Kiji Therapeutics through kiji-tx.com. So, and you could also contact with me through LinkedIn or through my email that I could give you without any problem. It's a great pleasure to talk about MSCs, to talk about the Kiji project, because it's a great adventure.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much again for taking so much time and sharing so much about this new company and your amazing products with us. And we'll talk soon. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Ashley.